And we'd like to start with, how are the microgenerators actually recruited? What is the organization looking for when they're looking for possible microgenerators? Is there a process?
What are we looking for?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. We look for green technologies. We look to support emerging technologies. We look to someone who is producing less than 5 megawatts. Okay. We don't necessarily recruit generators. In the 10 years we've been in business, we've had people come to us. So we seed the idea that we buy electricity on the internet. It's a great thing, the internet, we all know that. But our shop window is our website, and it says on our shop window that we buy energy. And therefore we get a lot of people that come to us and say, I'm thinking about, and actually I would say 80% of them come to nothing. Right? But those that do come to something, we go from the idea of someone having a generation unit on their property, to getting the planning, to getting it implemented, to getting it commissioned, to doing it. And we look at all manner of different technologies. We have a very small amount of wind. If you look at our fuel mix, you'll see what it's made up of. And most of our generators have got into generating electricity as a byproduct of of something else that they do. Clearly, people who are on the FIT regime, the feed-in tariff regime, have decided to put solar panels on their roof, and that's what they've decided to do. And they've done it because the government is heavily subsidising it. But the farmers that we deal with, the anaerobic digester guys, they use anaerobic digestion because they've got to get rid of the pig waste. Yeah. And locally, they had people who needed to get rid of meat or guts or whatever you want to call it from abattoirs, and the same for fish. With the tomato growers, they need the heat. So to get good efficient heat, they use combined heat and power plants, because they get 2 sources of power from one input source. But to get the level of heat that they need, they can only use about 5% of the electricity that would generate. And, if you want to make that much heat, you can turn a turbine and make this much electricity. If you're going to use the heat, you're actually going to sell the electricity. So they got into it because they needed heat. And the skip operator got into it because landfill tax is on an escalator. He's running out holes in the ground to put it in, and he was looking for a smarter way of doing it. And a marketing advantage, to be fair to him, because he can go to people who want to rent a skip, and he'll say, I tell you what, not only will I take that away at a reasonable price, but I won't put it in landfill. I'll turn it into electricity. And they go, oh. So that's essentially, we don't recruit them, people come to us, and we hopefully give them a fair price for their electricity. We understand small businesses, we understand what keeps me awake at night, so we understand what will probably keep them awake at night. That's usually about how they get paid and when they get paid.
And does the company have any processes wherein they can assist these people with their microgeneration?
Do we have any?
Processes?
Well, we help them through the regulation for a start, and there's plenty of that. We currently do not invest in those generators. So if you're looking, do we have any fiscal or any financial incentives? We presently don't, but I wouldn't rule that out for all time. We would quite like the opportunity to invest in some of our generators so that we could secure the supply.
I mean, you also have to do some form of, or you'd want to do some form of strategic partnering with companies that supply the equipment.
It could mean that, yeah. In fact, the companies that supply the equipment are usually the biggest joint venture partner in any small-scale operation, because they look at it as it's a channel to market for them. It's a bit like General Motors and Ford having a finance company, yeah. They want to sell you a car, but actually what they do is they sell you the money to buy the car that they manufacture, yeah. And
you get profit twice.
And profit twice, and equally you've got a lot of people who are a lot of equipment manufacturers going into joint ventures with people with land, and they say, well, we'll provide the equipment at a knockdown rate. I don't know what the knockdown rate would be, but and they get into a joint venture partnership with them. So, but yeah, I mean, there are a number of ways we could attack that if we got there.
And do you get a lot of customers and microgenerators who approach the company through referrals, word of mouth?
Yes, we do. In fact, when we first started, we got a lot of inquiries on generators as a result of consultants who installed in one particular operation saying, well, I'd go and talk to these guys because the last guy I installed with is selling electricity to them, and they seem to be, getting on fine, and therefore we would get recommended by the consultant, the farmer or whoever it was would bring up and say, I understand you're buying electricity from XYZ party. Would you be interested in buying electricity from me? We'd say yes. We'd go down and have a look at it, and 9 times out of 10 we win. Sometimes we lose. Sometimes it's a commercial market, and there are people out there that may be prepared to pay more for the electricity than we are.
So you don't invest any kind of advertisement or?
No, we don't advertise at all. That's why you've never heard of me. We absolutely do it by word of mouth and the internet. Don't have an above the line advertising budget at all.
And how much information is provided using social media and the internet? As you say, the website is the first.
I wish there was more. We have a Facebook page and we tweet. I'd have to tell you, and I'd have to be honest and say that my PR company do the Facebook and the tweeting because I am too old and too long in the tooth to understand how social media works. I don't have a Facebook page at a personal level. I've got a telephone and I speak to people and I meet them. And I like meeting people, I like seeing them whites their eyes. And if I've got 500 friends, I've met them all! I don't have 8,000 friends on the internet. I embraced email when it came along because it made it easier to get hold of my friends in groups. So I absolutely accept, that social media is probably quite good. But I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to that. And my concern is my son has a Facebook page. My daughters have yet to get involved because they're too young. And my concern is that he doesn't interact. Like he does, he's fine. But my concern is that if we spend all our time on Facebook walls, do we actually become different kinds of social animals? Yeah? Well, that'd be my concern. So we do use Facebook. My point is, why would you go to Facebook wall when you can go to my internet site? And I was told, don't be so stupid, people want to do that. You're a Luddite. People want to go where it's most convenient for them. And we've got a left one on the bottom. We've got a YouTube wiggle. We've got a, what do you call those things? The buttons on your, where you can click through. But we've got an F for Facebook. We've got a T for Twitter. We've got a YouTube. So we've embraced it, but the younger people in my business handle it. That's not too much of an indictment on me.
Is there positive feedback for that process right now?
I think part of the problem is how do you get it to go viral, really? And I don't know the answer to that question. And I haven't seen what's the film called?
Social Network.
Social Network. I haven't seen it. What I do know is that they did spend rather a lot of money getting to where they are. This isn't someone working in his garage with 3 and 6. There are millions and millions of pounds that have been pumped into Facebook over the years. It didn't just happen overnight. And I don't have those millions of pounds, and I'm not sure I want to go to the people that lent him that money to borrow it. It's the truth,
We also wanted some information on the key performance indicators. Are there any targets or performance indicators in the next 1 year in areas of brand awareness, sales targets, supply via microgeneration?
Well, there clearly are. It's a question of how commercially sensitive those things are. We want to continue to grow. We want to continue to buy only green energy. We don't want any one customer to take more than 14% of our business. We set out to grow a business from a wide church of customers and a wide church of generators, and we will continue to do that. The current economic downturn has meant that certain areas of the economy have been hit harder than other areas of the economy. We have a very well spread portfolio of customers and a well spread portfolio of generators. Therefore, any area of the economy that's been materially affected will affect part of our business, but not all of our business.
And how much would you say is the market penetration for green energy in its competitive market? Is it?
What, for the whole of the market? What,
Just
how
for
many people are
just
in
for
it?
your market, for the green electricity
You
market?
couldn't count it. There's 6 international players, and there are probably 30 or 50 independents. And 98% of the market is held by the big boys. So